The chair of the Audit and Risk Committee has reported former Steinhoff Chief Executive Markus Jooste to the South African government's Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, the Hawks. Professor Mias de Klerk from the University of Stellenbosch Business School joins us now to examine issues of governance at Steinhoff. He's in our Cape Town studios. Professor, welcome to the show. This one of the biggest cases in South Africa, business cases in South Africa that have failed. One could liken it to an Enron that happened in the US. Where were the governance issues in this case?
Good evening, Natal. There were several governance issues in this case. We did some research on information that's available in the public domain because, as you know, the formal investigations are still ongoing. And so what we have is not hard and fast findings that is meant to take to court, but rather to get business lessons for business leaders from this. And we've picked up some concerns. For instance, in terms of governance, one of the things of a board is that a board should be, the non-executive director should be independent according to the regulations and the King Commission report. And we have a concern that there were not sufficient independence in the board of the Steinhoff board.
And what were some of the issues with that board? I know in terms of that King report, you talk about there needs to be a balance of power and also, an expansion in terms of skills. So what was wrong with Steinhoff's board that, led to things going wrong last year?
Well, some of the things that we are concerned about is, for instance, as I said, the independence. People that's been on the board for many years, people that's been friends. Mr. Jooste once called them a club of friends and trust. And that's not what the board should be like. And the concern we have around that is if it's just friends that rely on each other and trust each other, where is the critical thinking and where is the oversight that is critically needed on any board?
And in your opinion, as you say, Christa, Markus Jooste, a club of friends at the company, and it shouldn't be that way. Do you think that made it simple for Christa to then try and dupe the rest of the members? Because obviously in his last letter he had written that he doesn't implicate anybody except himself, but it's hard to believe that he was the only one involved in this deal.
I think you're referring to Mr. Jooste, who said he doesn't implicate anybody else. But in a board like that, where there's not real independence, where there's a lack of critical oversight, it just becomes easier and easier for somebody to take the board along. And if you combine that with clean audit reports, which we also don't understand how that could have happened for many years, one can accept that the board, the friends, will then accept the audit results. Why should they question it?
We're talking about a board here that has a great number of skills, included in them chartered accountants and auditors in that board at one point. But let's speak about the auditors, Deloitte, that have been signing off these financials year in, year out and have not picked anything up. Was it a case of the company not declaring what they should have, or was just that the auditors was not curious enough or looking closely at these numbers?
Unfortunately, I cannot say exactly what happened here. That was not part of our research on what happened with the auditors. But what one can speculate about is that, for instance, Steinhoff with a very good history, Mr. Jooste with a very good history over the years, perhaps they just did not look deep enough and critical enough and just relied on the history and what was happening. We probably have something here that is called the halo effect, where when somebody is doing something good, you tend to brush everything that he or she does under that same brush. And Mr. Jooste really started off with a big company growing fast, and I think not only did the auditors not look deep enough, but also the analysts did not look deep enough in what was happening here.
When we go to the German case, before they listed in Frankfurt, German authorities are coming into one of the subsidiaries to raid their offices, for that accounting irregularities at the time. And this was 2015. This obviously should have raised alarm bells for the analysts that you're talking about. But why was there so much trust in this one man, that even his own business partners were not seeing what was happening at the company?
The exact reason for that is not clear, but what it looks like, it is Mr. Jooste, because of a very good history in which he started, as I've mentioned, but also a very strong, charismatic leader. And we like to have strong, charismatic leaders. We like to have leaders that we can look up to, that have the answers, that we can trust in, that we can believe in. And I think somehow his bond with people in the board and maybe with others was so strong that the critical thinking just was not there.
And just quickly, there were convictions in the Enron case, and that's a popular case, a business case that is. And, the CFO, Ben Lagrange, Danny van der Merwe, all, not to be implicated in this case, and it's just Markus Jooste that's come out. Do you think the convictions could be far-reaching from the Hawks case?
Well, I cannot comment on that. We will have to see what comes out from that case, and then the law must take its course. I think what we should also look at is beyond just from what come out from the Hawks case. The Hawks will look at compliance to legislation and regulations. I think what happened here was also beyond that, because to a large extent Steinhoff complied to many of the regulations, if not most. But still they were doing things that they should not be doing that was unethical. If you look at their code of conduct, they had a wonderful code of conduct, they still have, but clearly they did not live up to their own code of conduct. And that goes beyond just what will come out from the formal investigation from the Hawks.
All right, we'll just have